thank you to our NAF family for, in the midst of a global pandemic, being so committed to the alumni, to the students, and for everything that you guys continue to do on a daily basis to continue to push the needle forward. Again, my name is Luisa Mendoza. Thrilled to be here with you guys today. As we knew, we were preparing for the Alumni Month. We were talking about different discussions, and I was asked if I would like to present. And I really thought, what could be a powerful message that I could bring to you guys? And I figured, you know, the journey that I've been through this year alone, there's so much that I have learned. And if I can help anyone, even if it's just one person, by sharing my story, and I can empower you, and I can make you realize that when life throws you lemons, you know, you can make lemonade through them, then, you know, we're much better off. I do want us to have fun. Everything that I do revolves around two things: do things from the heart and do things with joy. So let's have fun. If you guys want to turn on your cameras, it's great to see faces. If you guys want to keep them off, I understand, no pressure. If you want to go grab a cup of coffee, join me for some coffee. That's also good. But let's just kick back, relax. Again, if you have any questions, chime in, let me raise your hand, or put in the chat box that you have a question, and then I can gladly call on you, or just, you know, speak up. Or you can wait, and at the end, we'll have a Q&A here. Caroline, if you could just give me a 10-minute warning so that I can try to wrap up and allow time for questions at the end as well. That'll be good. So 2020, what a year. I mean, everything from a global pandemic to elections. This has been the year of resilience, of pivoting, of growing. I think not one person in this world can say that they were not impacted some way, shape, or form with everything that happened this year. And this year started off so amazing for me. I took a huge leap of faith, leaving two of my dream careers. First, I used to work for NYC and Company, which is the official tourism office for New York. And that was my dream job. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. If you have, let me see a heart, show some love, say I did, or, you know. But in that movie, if you guys recall, when Will Smith gets the job at the end of the movie, and he just comes out yelling and screaming, and he's so happy because he got the job. That was me when I got called to be director of tourism development for Spain and Latin America at NYC and Company. And I thought that was my dream job. I didn't think I was going to go anywhere. To make a really long story short, I then get approached by the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. Do we have any basketball fans here? That for me was such a remarkable opportunity, but it was the hardest career decision because, again, guys, I was working at NYC and Company, dream job, overseeing 6 international offices, traveling all over the world, and it was just amazing. And then I get approached by the NBA Brooklyn Nets, and they asked me to come and be their director of global tourism development. So I took this huge leap of faith, and I went to work for the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. But then really quickly, I realized that there was a huge gap between sports and tourism. I had been in tourism for about 18 years and sports for about 2 years. And I said, oh my God, like there is a great opportunity to merge the two, right? So I took another huge leap of faith. And in January, here I thought, like, best year of my life. I start my company, GTSE, Global Tourism, Sports, and Entertainment. I go on to make it to headline news on Univision. To any Latinos that are here with me today, you guys know that if you make it on Univision, like that's big news, right? First Hispanic female in the United States to start a tourism, sports, and entertainment company. Couldn't have been prouder at that point. And no one told me that 3 months later, the world was going to stop, that COVID-19 was going to happen. And so, as you can imagine, COVID-19 happens. I'll never forget. It's March 12th. I'm in Manhattan. I'm having a client dinner. Owner of the restaurant comes out and he's like, "Thank you so much for coming to dinner today. Our restaurant has never been this empty. I'm worried about what's going to happen if the city's going to go on a lockdown." What nobody knew at that point. And he said, "How about you? Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "Well, here's my business card. Just read the name out loud. You tell me." And he goes, "Global Tourism, Sports, and Entertainment." He goes, "Oh, beep." We'll keep it PG-13. But he was like, wow, like I my heart goes out to you. And I said, "Listen, it'll all be okay." Inside, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. I'm like a single mom. I take care of my little girl, my parents. So it's not like, I have this rich husband that can, take care of me. On the contrary, I have to take care of my family. As if that was not enough, March 14th, Saturday, I was supposed to fly out to Madrid on the 15th and then to Barcelona. Of course, they stopped all flights. I was not able to fly out. I stayed home. And thank God I stayed home because I actually got really sick. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even lift up my hands. I have never felt this ill in my life. One day I remember being in my bed and not being able to lift my hands and just feeling like just the pressure of an elephant over me. And I'm like, do I have COVID-19? I don't know. I kept on calling to see if I could get tested. This is when it first happened. So getting tested was nearly impossible. Finally, after like 3 weeks, I start getting a little better. I just kept on having faith that I would get better because, I have to take care of my parents and my little girl. And I was like, I have to. I was like, "God, don't take me. I'm not ready to go yet." So I kept on pushing through. Finally, about a month later, I get a call. I confirmed that at this point, I figured out that I had been exposed to somebody that tested positive and they were able to get me in. So I get tested, I get my test results, and I see positive for COVID-19, which is a miracle because my parents live with me. I take care of my parents, and thank God nothing happened to them. My dad's 83, my mom's 73. So thank God they're okay. And my little girl was okay. But I think that's when I started realizing that you have to be resilient and you just got to push forward. And there was something in me that I just kept on saying, I'm not going to lose this battle. First, it was my health. And as they say, it was, what was the silver lining? I think had my health not been in such jeopardy, I would have been really stressing about my business. And I would have been like, oh my God, okay, what do I do business wise? But when your own health is at such risk, you realize that the most important thing in this world that you need is your health. I just kept on saying, if I'm healthy, if I can breathe, if I can walk, I'm going to get past whatever comes my way. I just got to be healthy. I just got to be strong, and I'll be able to come through the other side. So once I started getting better, I started walking. I started going out, building my immune system. I just kept on saying, you got to build your immune system and make sure that your lungs are strong. I started hiking. I started running. I did a commitment to run 500 miles this year. I'm up to like 415. And in this process of walking, of running and hiking, I did a lot of reflecting. I started thinking about who are successful people that I look up to and why. And in my top 5, I have Oprah Winfrey, Mark Cuban, Elon Musk. And I kept on saying, what do these people have in common? And it's the fact that they not only are they self-made, millionaires and billionaires, but these are people who have a diverse portfolio. They don't put all of their eggs in one basket. And I was like, that's it. I can't put all of my eggs in one basket. Who knows how long it's going to take for sports and tourism to come back? I got to think quick, and time is ticking. So I hired a professional coach and I said, you know, I'd love to work with you. We were actually doing this global conference and I got to hear him speak. Marcus Ogden, he's a former NFL player who had everything. I mean, former NFL player, and started his own business. He went bankrupt, lost everything, and built himself up again. And that's the kind of coach I wanted. Somebody who had reached, you know, the highest high and then tanked to the lowest low and was able to pick himself up again. So in exploring this with him, I said, you know, help me. Like, I don't know my next strategy. And we started talking about things that I'm passionate about, what moves me, where could I take my skill set and use it in other industries. And it was very evident to me that marketing, public relations, and self-development, leadership development were things I was really passionate about, helping companies expand and grow, as that was one of the things that I was going through the most hurdle at the time. So Global Tourism, Sports and Entertainment, GTSE, he says, I have a client for you, and I think you can help them out tremendously. I said, all right, talk to me. Who is it? What is it? And he goes, it's the restroom kit. It's a PP product, because think of it as a, you know, right now everybody's thinking about the masks. Everybody's thinking about, you know, hand sanitizers, gloves, everything. They have an amazing product, but it just has not been able to crack the market. They need help with marketing. They need help with their website. And I said, okay, let's see, you know, I'm going to give it my all. So I hired more people. I got the best when it comes to digital marketing, the best when it came to PR in the US Hispanic market. And we signed on our first account, the restroom kit. This is our third month working with them. So we're just going into the third month. We've already rebuilt their website, therestroomkit.com. We did a big event last month at the Mexican consulate where they donated 500 kits to the Mexican consulate because it was one of the hardest hit communities with COVID-19. This Saturday, we had 10 minutes of airtime on Mega TV, which we were able to talk about the product. And that is your goal now, being able to work outside of sports and tourism and really take our expertise when it comes to digital marketing, website development, SEO optimization, retargeting, public relations, primarily with the US Hispanic market, and really using these elements to say, how can we help other companies grow and expand, as it's going to help us grow and expand. If you would have asked me in January that I would have been diversifying and going into helping everything that turns into sanitation, I would have been like, I'm sports and tourism. But as Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. I realized that if I would have said, oh no, but my line of business is sports and tourism, like this is what I set myself out to do, I would, and yes, we're still moving that initiative forward, but that's going to take about 2 to 3 years minimum. And I don't have 2 or 3 years to sit here waiting for sports and tourism to come back. So I had to very quickly think to myself, how am I going to diversify my portfolio? How am I going to take my skill set and apply it to other things that I am able to, other industries that are doing well right now? And in the midst of all of this, I think, you know, the world has gotten so much smaller because we're now doing Zoom all over. I probably have met more people globally by Zoom than when I used to travel all over the world and meet people And I think we're having deeper conversations. We're able to really connect on a much deeper level. For the first time, people have something today that they never had before, and that's time. Especially when the pandemic broke out, everybody was home. People were anxious to talk to others. And that's something that people didn't have before, right? Everybody was always running around, busy. No one had time for anybody. And now it's like the world has, like, Mother Nature stopped us and made us reflect and think on what new relationships can we build? Who can we be connecting with? And so in the midst of all of this, I actually did a global uh, how would I even, it's like certification, where we were working with a company called Purpose Alliance. And it was people from all around the world that came together to create, I did two different task force. One was how to combat COVID-19. And then the second was the future of the workforce. And in this, I met an amazing group of people. And with one of those people that I met, we started a company called Boston EXO. And so it's all about exponential solutions and helping companies scale 10x using the exponential mindset. And so even that has helped me so much professionally and personally, because we look at everything from, if you compare, COVID-19, how before COVID-19 was even a thing, but when we compare Netflix versus Blockbuster, and when we compare Airbnb and the hotel industry, and when we compare the taxi industry to Uber, and how were these companies able to come in and be exponential and have an exponential mindset? So I said, hey, you know what? Now is the time where I can remember. I said I wanted to diversify my portfolio. So not only did I diversify my portfolio with my own company by having different verticals of business, but also getting involved with another company. And I kept on saying to myself, I'm like, Mark Cuban, all of these people, yes, exponential mindset and growth mindset, absolutely. And and I kept on saying, like, all of these people have an exponential mindset. Like, they all have multiple companies. I think like Mark Cuban is up to 800 companies. And so it was just super important, because I said, I need to make sure I have different streamlines of revenue coming in, and that I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket. And that's what really this year has been. I looking back now, I'm healthier probably than I've ever been before, really making my health a top priority. And I know that with my health, my business will be okay. And just having faith that everything is going to turn out and everything is going to work out for the best. I think we see a year of resilience in so many ways. I mean, even with our presidential election, and as so much is going on in that field, but for one moment to see that, we have the first female vice president, talk about resilience. This country had to wait many, many years to have a woman hit that level. And I think at the end of the day, that's my message for you guys, right? To make sure that we are resilient, that we don't, take these things for granted, and that no matter what struggle we go through, guys, that we're able to come out on the other side, learning the lesson, becoming more aware of opportunities and learning from these things, and not being scared. And let me rephrase that. It is okay to be scared, because there were moments where I was scared, but not letting fear hold you back, but using that fear to motivate you to say, this is not the end. Like, I just need to reinvent myself. I need to take better care of my health. I need to, align myself with other businesses. And so I thought about, okay, what are some key takeaways that I would hope that, you guys can kind of take as little, lessons with you guys. It's one, so important to have mentors and coaches. I look at the NAF community, and I would not be here today. That I guarantee you, had it not been for NAF. You know, being in high school and joining NAF and having my mentor, Mark Gatley, who was my boss at the Broward County Convention Center. He was the general manager. That was huge for me. And really these mentors mean so much, because years later, here I am reaching out to Mr. Gatley, who was my mentor when I was a NAF student, to my NAF community, and just having them really help me in this time was critical. So having mentors and coaches, surrounding myself by positivity. I stopped listening to the news. I was like, there's just too much drama in the news. And I started listening to podcasts, everything from Amy Jo Martin, Why Not Now? She interviews people that like just take that moment to say like, why not now? Like, I'm going to make a change. She's interviewed everybody from Mark Cuban to her mother. So it's like really good podcast. Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, another one that I love to listen to. Tony Robbins, I got to do Unleash the Power Within, and really started like giving myself this context of energy, of just positivity in my mind and in my surroundings, and resilience, right? I think that is the most critical word of all. And I think 9/11, you know, I was able to live through that and to see how New York was so resilient, and that we said, yes, you took down 2 of our towers, but we built 7 buildings afterwards, and we now have, you know, a taller building than the Twin Towers, and just not giving up, guys. And I think those are some of my key takeaways. But I'd love to open up the floor if anybody has any questions. If there's anything that has resonated with you guys, let's chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. So.
And we do. Thank you so much, Louisa. I think just hearing about all of those experiences, and even going back earlier, you know, to your high school and your mentor, who really helped you in the early part of your career, is just creates a picture of possibility, I think, for everyone on the call. I do. Well, as you all think of questions, or if you just want to share your story, like what you're interested in for your career, that's totally fine too, right? It doesn't have to be a question. But as we, while you think of that, you can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. I'm going to launch a poll here. I'd love to just see from the people who are on the call, what industries might be of interest to you for your future career. These are really big industries, right? I think what Louisa has shed light on is that you know, you could do so many things with hospitality and tourism. Like, it's not only the hotel industry, right? So we see a lot of entrepreneurship coming up, the PR, marketing, I think, and sales aspect of business, and then sports. I mean, who doesn't love sports? Even if you're not an avid watcher, I'm certainly not an avid watcher, but I think you can always find some joy in that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love Aaliyah's comment. She goes, agreed, the pandemic has given a lot of people the time to reflect and reinvent themselves. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what this year has truly done. And I think for the entrepreneurs, as we're getting polls coming in, don't ever feel like your business plan needs to be perfect and final. One of my coaches said to me, Luisa, when I told her I wanted to start a business and I was like, what do I do? She said, listen, just remember, perfection is the enemy of done. Don't wait for things to be perfect for it to be done. Yeah, I see a lot of entrepreneurs. Wow, this is great. So 19 of you are interested in sports, 13 entertainment and tourism, marketing 50%. Wow, PR 25%, 69% entrepreneurship, and 25% sales. So yeah, I mean, listen, guys, especially for entrepreneurs, the best advice is don't allow perfection to stop you. And thank God that I was in that mindset that it doesn't have to be perfect, because it allowed me to pivot, right? A business plan should constantly be making you pivot. So that's key. And I think there was a question I saw coming in. What is the next goal you have your eyes set on? Ooh, I like that question. Right now, my next goal is really growing GTSE plus, and becoming, one of the best marketing and PR agencies with a spin, because we're actually going to work on self-development and really how do you brand your business, your personal self, and your purpose, and have them all aligned. So I'm super stoked about that. And then when sports and tourism comes back, having a world-class model that is going to bridge the gaps between sports and tourism. But most importantly, as I'm growing, these businesses, it's never forgetting where I came from and making sure that everything I do comes from a place of love, and that it comes with happiness and joy. Because this year taught us life is too short. And, I was compromising on a lot of things, just trying to become successful. And I realized that it's okay to disconnect and say, you know what, I can't attend that meeting tonight. I got to take time with my daughter. So I think balance is also a huge thing for me that I'm focusing on, is making sure that just as I strive so hard to reach success and take care of my family, that I'm balancing things out so that I'm taking care of myself. Because as somebody very smart said to me one day, she said, Luisa, when you get on a plane and, before the plane takes off, they always say, before you help others in case of an emergency, make sure you put the mask on first before trying to assist others. And I'm really trying to put that into practice. So taking my moments to meditate, taking my moments to go on a run, taking my moments to 6:30 comes, unless it's critical and I have a deadline the next day, it's okay. The job will be there tomorrow. But finding balance, and most importantly, giving back, taking a moment to never forget where you came from, but always remembering. And this is my roots, NAF is my roots. And I don't think there's ever been a time where Caroline or anybody at NAF has reached out that I've said, sorry, I can't. Like, I try to do whatever I can to be here, because without NAF, I wouldn't be who I am today. So that's a long answer, but from the heart.
Yes, that's very true. Luisa is always one of the first people to raise her hand. So I hope that inspires some of the students who are about to be alumni. We actually also have another alum on the call. We have Jennifer Montgomery. She is also an entrepreneur herself from Detroit, Michigan, a graduate of Academy of Finance. So some more different industries for the students and young alumni who are on the call. Jennifer, do you have any advice? We saw a lot of people here are interested in entrepreneurship. Do you have any other additional advice other than what Luisa already shared about that?
Well, first of all, hi everyone. Hi, Luisa, you're doing an amazing job. Of course, I'm always inspired by your story. So just very quickly, a background, I am Jennifer. I am Jennifer Mo, which is really my consulting business name. And also I have a brand of I Am Fin Savvy, which is a financial literacy brand, if you will. And so I started about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago, I was working at a financial institution, and I heard this quote before. It wasn't something that I thought about at the time, but when we talk about pivoting and resilience and like just maneuvering, it's the saying, you're not a tree, you can move, right? And so it's kind of like, once you find yourself in a space where you feel stuck, where you can't go anywhere, then maybe it's time to move, to pivot, to do something different. And so I was at the financial institution. I was like, you know what? I've been here for about 5 years. I have a lot of experience under my belt. And you know what? It's not aligning anymore. And I always feel like if I'm in a space where I can't grow, then it's time for me to move on. And so I left. I quit my 9 to 5 and I started my company, if you will. I had no idea what I was doing, essentially. As many people, you think that you know what you're going to do. Coming from a finance background, of course, knowing the accounting, knowing how to start a business plan. But to be honest, the best advice I can give for, aspiring entrepreneurs is just to do it. So don't wait. to just kind of do it, and you'll find yourself, what is the saying? Building the plane while flying. And so once you go out there and you express what it is that you're looking to do, you'll find the resources that you need to be able and connect with the people that you need to make it happen. So I feel like that's the best kind of advice just off the top of my head that I can give someone. But when we're talking about resilience, I do want to just make a quick mention of one of like my mentors in my head. Her name is Suzanne Schenk, and she's in the financial services industry. She's the CEO and chairman of the largest minority owned or Black owned investment and woman-led, I should lead, there's women on the call, women-led investment firms. And three things as far as like really just kind of be prepared. Just always try to look to better yourself, sharpen your tools, to be persistent. Oh my goodness, in entrepreneurship, it's so important just to keep going because it doesn't happen overnight. You see businesses and it took them a while to get there. And just really just keep yourself sharp and connect with people who are interested in the things that you're interested in. And so we're all on a call today. So that means that you have some bright minds and you're ready for the next step. So I just say, go for it, do it. And, like Luisa said in her takeaways, is to have a mentor to get you to where you need to be. So I said enough.
No, that was great. That was great, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing that, because there's huge takeaways in that. And perseverance, it's not an easy road. Sometimes, your hours are much longer. You're doing work in different ways. But ultimately, it's as someone very dear to the sports world once said and lived by, and that's, may he rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, right? He said, find your 4 a.m. Find what you are so passionate about, because if you are passionate about it, you will jump out of bed at 4 a.m. and you will just grind and go to work, because it's not work, it's your career, it's your purpose, and it's your passion. And so that's what I tell my little girl every day. I'm like, she goes, Mommy, do you want me to be this? I'm like, it's not what Mommy wants you to be. It's who do you want to be? What's going to make you jump out of bed like Kobe Bryant used to jump out of bed at 4 a.m. because it was his love and his passion. Once you know what that is, everything will guide you and everything will lead you there, right? It's go to see that moment of your life of what is your 4 a.m., discover that, and then everything will just align itself to the right people will start falling into place, hearing the right podcast, reading the right books. I've been doing a lot of Audible books because I've been running a lot. So obviously you can't read and run. So I've been listening to a lot of great books, entrepreneurship books out there. Right now I'm reading You're a Badass at Making Money. And just keep on always, feeding your mind and feeding your soul and feeding your body and taking care of your health. I think that's one thing that we have learned that is so crucial this year. So any other questions?
Ryan, did you have one? I wasn't sure if you were asking questions. We have about, for other people who might have questions, we have about 10 minutes left. So Ryan, did you have one?
No, I didn't. I do just want to say thank you so much for talking us today, Luisa. I love these types of things. They're just so informative and I love it so much. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh, Ryan, that means a lot. Where are you based out of?
I am actually in Buffalo, New York right now. I am in NAF's Academy of Finance in Buffalo. Yeah.
Small world. That's where my mentor, Mark Gatley, is from. He went to Niagara University and just Buffalo. I've been up there and it's a beautiful town. So great place. And I really appreciate your feedback. It means a lot to me. And,
thank you.
If you guys want to follow me on social media, LinkedIn, so important. If you don't have a LinkedIn account yet, please make one. And it's the new way of, guys, seriously, like 3 of my jobs prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I got them through LinkedIn because I found out of opportunities. This is the way that a lot of companies are now recruiting is through LinkedIn. So if you do not have a LinkedIn account, one, make one. And second, please follow up on LinkedIn. You can find me at LinkedIn, and it's Luisa Mendoza, Luisa Mendoza. Maybe Caroline can drop that in for me. Awesome. Anybody else? Thank you, Caroline. Anybody else got any questions or want to share with us what this year? I'm curious to know.
We have a comment here.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is such an important topic when we're thinking about mentors and the people in our lives. One comment is it okay if in the future I cut my parents out of my life because they have been really toxic? When I talk about what I want to do and my goals, they try to put me down by saying my insecurities. They tell me I'm lazy and that if I wanted to do things like that, I would have done so already. So, I mean, I have, so many thoughts there, but Luisa, do you want to go first?
Yeah, Francisco, that's a deep question. Because obviously at the end of the day, it's your parents. And while your parents, in your words, you're saying that they can be very toxic people for you. If I may, I'll get personal and just come from the heart because it's the only way I know how to speak. They say that not being at peace with your parents can be the hardest thing because the day that they're no longer in this planet, it can have really bad side effects if you didn't end in right terms. In high school, I had a friend who never made peace with his father. And I just said, I don't know if it's because my mom always told me about not being able to have that peace with your parents, but I would just say to him, listen, make peace with your parents, you with your father. You just never know. Long story short, his father died and he never was able to make that peace with his father. They asked him to go to the house. His dad had all of these pictures, letters he had attempted to write to his son, to my friend, and he never had that right closure. And he says to me, I wish with all my heart that I would have listened to you, because had I listened to you, I would have, I could have just had a better closure with my father. So I think the most important thing, I think there's much bigger issues here, which I would recommend finding a way to reconcile and to find that peace with your parents, because at the end of the day, they're your parents. However, I also know what it is to have people that are toxic and negative, and at some point you gotta distance yourself from that. And I get it. Listen, I love my father to pieces. My father is my rock, but my father's not the most positive person. And I confront him. I go, Dad, I'm not going to let your negativity affect me right now. Right. So he knows. And I make boundaries with my father. I'm like, I only allow positivity into my life. And if you're going to be negative, and if you're not going to add and pour into my cup, go talk to someone else, write a letter, do whatever you got to do, but do not contaminate me with that negativity. And then he laughs and he's like, I'm sorry. I just, I'm a father and I try to protect you. And I'm like, that's fine. You can try to protect me, but your negativity is not going to impact me. So in that angle, I think my best advice is, one, try to make peace with your parents. And two, I get it. Sometimes we need to put a boundary and say, hey, I love you, but your negativity is not going to help me. I need you. And try to come from a place of love to your parents, right? Say I hear you. You're trying to give me advice, but it's only making me feel less. And I need you guys to empower me. You're my parents. So maybe using some reverse psychology on them, right? And saying hey, I need you guys to build me, not to squash me. I want to make it. I want to be an entrepreneur. So I hope that helps, Francisco.
Yeah, and what I'd like to add to that too is sometimes, and this is a very common statement, I think, and to varying degrees with students, with alumni, NAF, outside of NAF, And I think what I found so humbling about the NAF network is that there are so many people out here to support you. So as the whole, like, parent or even sometimes teacher thing gets figured out, I think knowing that there are other students and alumni here, the NAF office is here to share resources. We have a career insider email for alumni. I think it's exciting to see the positivity and the support that just oozes out of this network. Today is just 45 minutes of an example of that, but there's just a lot more there. So that's one thing that gets me really excited. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's it for today. If anyone else on the call has any follow-up questions, I'm going to drop my yes.
Oh, thank you, Francisco.
Anything if you get from thinking about resiliency and pivoting in times of crisis is that everybody goes through a lot and doesn't always show it, right? To this year, 2020 has brought a lot of these things to the spotlight with the pandemic and with everything going on. So we see it a little bit more, but there's always so much. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Email addresses are in the chat. Go ahead and take a second and copy and paste that. We will have the recording shared with the attendees for the session, and I'll go ahead and email that to everybody. And yeah, I love the messages in the chat. So thank you so much. Stay in touch. Follow NAF on Instagram at NAF Career Acads. Look at the other alumni events we have coming up, and we will see you all soon. Have a good night.
Take care, everybody.